Students, in this particular video session, we are going to learn about vector quantities in detail, rules and regulations to handle with vectors, and few examples of vector quantities, how to do mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, and multiplication of vectors. If you learn these basics, these all laws can be useful in any chapter when we handle with vector physical quantities. In any chapter, in all the chapters, you will have one or other physical quantities which are vectors. So in order to add those vectors, subtract vectors, or multiplication or division of these vectors, when we handle with those, normal rules and regulations which we use for scalars are not applicable for vectors. So that is the reason why, as these are directional quantities, we need to handle these vectors separately with vector laws. So in this chapter, we will be dedicating this whole chapter to learn about laws of vectors, how to handle with them, which are useful throughout your class 11th and class 12th syllabus. As you know, physical quantities are of different types. Depending on the direction, they can be classified as scalar quantities, vector quantities, and tensor quantities. Three different types of physical quantities are generally known. They are scalar quantities, vector quantities, and tensor quantities. Scalar quantities are those quantities which has only magnitude. They have no direction. Even though they have direction, they will not obey vector laws. Such quantities are called as scalar quantities. Example: mass, time, distance, electric flux, magnetic flux, etc. So those quantities, we will not represent them with any directions. Such quantities are scalars. Even though some quantities, they have directions, but you will not consider them as vectors because they does not obey vector laws. They are called as scalars even. So a physical quantity having magnitude and direction but not obeying laws of vector, it is treated as a scalar quantity. You should keep this in your mind. Next is a vector quantity. Vector quantity is that quantity which has both magnitude and direction. You can represent a vector quantity with magnitude and as well as direction, and it should obey vector laws. Not only vector law of addition, there are few laws that we will be learning in this chapter. It should obey vector laws. There are few laws: triangle law, polygon law, parallelogram law of vectors, dot product, cross product. These all are laws which govern vector algebra. So these are laws to be obeyed by those physical quantities in order to call them as a vector. So velocity, force, momentum, torque, these all are examples of vector quantities where we will be representing with magnitude and as well as direction. If at all you are dealing with a velocity, you will be representing this velocity as 10 meter per second north. 10 meter per second, 10 is the magnitude, meter per second is the unit, north is the direction. Similarly, you can represent force as 10 Newton south or 10 Newton southwest, 10 Newton northeast. You will be representing a vector quantity with magnitude. Magnitude is 10 Newton here, and the direction of that vector is pointed along south or southwest or northeast. Definitely you need to mention its direction when you are representing a vector quantity. And these vector quantities should be obeyed vector laws in order to call them as vector quantities. Whereas in scalar quantity, you will not mention any direction. Simply mass, if I consider it is 10 kg, you will not call it as 10 kg north or 10 kg south. You will not specify any direction of that. Similarly, time, 10 second. Only 10 second you mention. You will not mention 10 second south, 10 second north. It should not be mentioned like that, because if you are adding direction to these quantities, it become meaningless. Therefore, such quantities which has only magnitude, which can be represented only with magnitude, are called as scalars. Whereas in case of those quantities which has both magnitude and direction can be expressed with vector laws, they are known as vector quantities. And there are few other physical quantities where those quantities have different magnitude in different directions, and these do not obey vector laws. Such quantities are known as tensor quantities. Example: moment of inertia, stress, pressure, etc. These are examples of tensor quantities. For example, if I am dealing with moment of inertia, or if I am dealing with pressure, pressure will not be same in all possible directions. Pressure can be different in different directions. Similarly, stress can be different in different directions. Moment of inertia will also be different in different directions. Magnitude will be varied with respect to its direction. Such type of quantities are called tensors. So three different types of physical quantities we have. Depending on the direction, they are scalars, vectors, and tensors. Scalars can be expressed with only magnitude. Vectors are expressed with magnitude and direction, and it should obey vector laws. Tensor are those quantities which has magnitude, and as well as they can have direction, but their magnitude will be varied differently in different directions. So they are known as tensor quantities. Tensor quantities is not part of your class 11th and 12th syllabus. You will be handling with tensors in your graduation level. So this is the difference between all the three physical quantities: scalars, vectors, and tensor quantities. So vectors are those quantities which has magnitude and direction and obey vector laws. For example, we have current. Current strength, it has magnitude, say 10 ampere, and current is always directional. It always flow from high potential to low potential. It always flow from high potential to low potential. It is directional. Its direction is always pointed from high potential to low potential. Similarly, heat has magnitude 10 joule. Joule is unit of heat energy, or you can consider it as calorie, 10 calorie. Because heat is form of energy, you can write it in the terms of joule or calorie. Now it always flow from high temperature to low temperature. It always flow from high temperature to low temperature. It is also directional. But these two quantities, current and heat, these quantities, they are called scalars. Now see, first condition, it has magnitude, that is fair. Second condition, it is directional, high potential to low potential, high temperature to low temperature. It is satisfying these two conditions. But what is the third condition to be a vector? It should obey vector laws. Therefore, heat and current, even though they are magnitude and directional, they are called as scalars because they does not obey vector laws. That does not obey vector laws. There are few vector laws which we will be learnt in this chapter in the next coming video sessions. Right? Now, how to represent a vector in one dimension? As I told you, a vector should have both magnitude and direction. So how to represent a vector in one dimension? In order to represent a vector in one dimension, simply we'll be writing it as, say, displacement. How can you represent displacement? Displacement is 10 meter. It is represented with magnitude. And what about its direction? It can be north, or it can be south, or it can be east, or it can be west. So simply when you are representing a vector, you will mention its magnitude and as well as its direction. This is one way to represent vector in one dimension. Similarly, you have coordinate axis, positive x-axis, negative x-axis. Similarly, you have coordinate axis, positive y and negative y. When you are dealing with a vector quantity in one dimension, as we are considering it as only in one dimension, you can represent a vector along positive x-axis or negative x-axis. So positive x-axis, usually it should be represented with one unit vector. Generally it will be represented with I cap. I cap is unit vector that we will be learning in the next coming slides. And about negative x-axis, it should be represented with minus I. Similarly, along y direction, it will be represented with j cap, and minus y, it is minus j cap. I and j are the unit vectors along x-axis and as well as y-axis. So when you want to represent a vector, say like same displacement, I want to represent it 10 meter. Now 10 meter, it is in which direction? You need to mention it. How you will mention it? 10 meter along positive x-axis. 10 meter along positive x-axis, or 10 meter along negative x-axis. Similarly, 10 meter along positive y-axis. Similarly, 10 meter along negative y-axis. This is how you can represent a vector in one dimension. That is very simple way of representing a vector. You will represent its magnitude and as well as direction. So therefore, in order to represent a vector, compulsory it should be represented with magnitude and as well as direction. Directions can be represented with Cartesian coordinate system, either x-axis or y-axis, if it is purely in one dimension. A vector is represented with a ray, right? And this is the symbol of ray. As this point is starting point of the vector, it is called as tail of the vector. And this, which is arrow mark representing the direction, it is called as head of the vector. Head of the vector. The arrow mark represents the direction of vector. As it is pointed along positive x-axis, you will be considering that it is traveling along positive x-axis. Now this is 10 meter. A is equal to 10 meter, and this 10 meter is representing magnitude. What about its direction? 10 meter along positive x-axis. Now in order to mention it as a vector quantity, any physical quantity, in order to consider it as a vector, you will be writing an arrow mark on its head. This is called as a bar. A bar. Read it as a bar. What is this bar? Bar is the arrow mark on the head of that particular alphabet. It represents that it is a vector quantity. This is how you will be representing a vector with a ray, where the point which it starts, it's called as tail of vector, and the arrow mark at the head, it is known as head of the vector. In order to specify a physical quantity as a vector quantity, you need to put one arrow mark on its head. It represents that it is a vector. Read it as vector A bar. Similarly, B bar, C bar, D bar. What does these all represent? These all are representing vector. It should be noted that arrow mark on the head represents that it is a vector quantity. Now let us learn how to represent a vector in two dimension. In two dimension, when we are representing a vector, you have two possibilities. The first one is you can use geographical directions. You can use geographical directions. You can use geographical directions as north, south, east, and west. So when a vector is in particular direction, you can use geographical directions and you can represent that vector. This is first way. And the second way to represent a vector is using Cartesian coordinate system. Cartesian coordinates, that is positive x and y axis. This is x axis, it is y, minus y, and minus x, and this is minus y. So in these two ways you can represent a vector in two dimension. One is using geographical directions and the other one is using Cartesian coordinate system. But we have one disadvantage if you are using geographical directions. What are those disadvantages? First, let me consider one vector. This is a bar. And let me consider another vector. This is b bar. Let me consider one more vector, c bar. Let me consider one more vector, which is d bar. We have four different vectors which are being given. This is a bar, b bar, c bar, and d bar. Okay. Now, how do you write this a bar? A bar is equal to, it will have some magnitude, say 10 Newton, and that is along east. Okay, this is fair. Magnitude it has, and the direction is mentioned in terms of east. Now, what about b bar and c bar? How do you represent this b bar? B bar also, I can represent its vector with 15 Newton. Say, for example, I am considering it as force. B bar, its magnitude is 15 Newton. In which direction you need to mention it? Obviously, as it is in between north and east, you will be writing it as northeast. This is fair enough. Now come to C bar. C bar, it is having the same magnitude 15 Newton, and this is also in which direction? Northeast. Right? Now, if you are representing with geographical notations, simply mentioning northeast is not sufficient to represent those two vectors B bar and C bar, because 15 Newton magnitudes are equal, and the direction also, it is northeast for both the vectors. Therefore, simply representing with northeast is not sufficient to distinguish these two vectors. Then how you can distinguish them? B bar and C bar can be distinguished by considering angle made by those two vectors with x-axis. Check it up. This is theta B. This is theta C. And this is theta D. Right. Now you can distinguish B bar and C bar clearly. How do you represent B bar? B bar is equal to 15 Newton northeast, making an angle theta B with x-axis. You can represent it with theta B angle. Separately you can represent it with vector, and that is with angle. Similarly, 15 Newton northeast, it is making an angle theta C with respect to x-axis in anti-clockwise. This also in anti-clockwise direction with respect to x-axis. Similarly, how do you represent D bar? D bar can be represented with 15 Newton, and this is in which direction? It is northwest, and it is making an angle theta D with respect to x-axis in anti-clockwise direction. You should not consider this as the angle. Don't consider this as the angle. You should stick to one rule. It is that any vector, it should be represented in two dimension in such a way its angle is chosen with positive x-axis in anti-clockwise direction. That is the rule which you need to use in order to represent it as a vector quantity, that is in anti-clockwise direction. This is one way. The first way is very simple. Simply you represent it with geographical directions and also angle. Now coming to Cartesian coordinate system, there is another way which you can use in order to represent a vector in Cartesian coordinate system. I'll be explaining that clearly. See, we have a Cartesian coordinate system. This x-axis, it is representing east, right? Similarly, y-axis, it is representing north. And this is representing west. It is representing south. So as geographical directions are 4, we can represent those geographical directions north, east, west, south in this 4 coordinate axis. So this is first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant. So if it is in northeast, you will get vector in the first quadrant. If it is in southwest, you will get vector in the second quadrant, vice versa, third quadrant, and as well as fourth quadrant. So any given vector, you can represent that particular vector like this way. Say you have one vector in this way. You may have another vector in this direction. This is another vector. And you can take one more vector which is like this. You can take one more vector which is like this, right? So we have different vectors, right? Now I can represent those vectors A bar, and this is B bar, this is C bar, and this is D bar. 4 different vectors in different coordinates. You can represent them with angles, right? And those angles should be treated always in anti-clockwise direction. This is alpha. Let me consider this as beta, one more angle. Let me consider it as gamma, angle made with the C bar. And let me consider another angle, this total angle. And this angle, I can consider it as delta. So A bar is making an angle alpha with x-axis, B bar making an angle beta, C bar making an angle gamma, D bar is making an angle delta with respect to x-axis in anti-clockwise direction. Remember that you need to consider it in anti-clockwise direction. Of course, even sometimes you will be taking vector in clockwise direction also. As it is the beginning, that is the rule you should follow. Later, we have many rules. Using them, we can represent a vector in any possible direction with any angle. So that is not big deal. So this is how you can represent a vector in 2 dimension, either with geographical directions or with Cartesian coordinate system. As I already told you, when we are dealing with a vector quantity, definitely it should be mentioned its angle. And the angle in the Cartesian coordinate system can be mentioned with respect to the x-axis in anti-clockwise direction for a given vector. Now, any given vector, if it is in the Cartesian coordinate system, it makes some angle with respect to x-axis. That angle, you can consider it as alpha. Now here, vector is OQ. This OQ vector, it is making an angle alpha with respect to x-axis. So you can represent OQ is a vector with angle alpha with x-axis. And you should represent that alpha is in anti-clockwise direction with respect to x-axis. This is one way you will represent a vector. Irrespective of that, you can use the other way. We can represent a vector with different way also. How it is? Let me tell you. Now when you are dealing with the vector OQ is projecting some length along x-axis and y-axis. Is it not? It is projecting some length along x-axis. Okay, this I consider it as AX. Similarly, it is projecting some length along y direction, that I consider it as AY. Okay. Now OQ, it is projecting length along x-axis and as well as y-axis. I will be writing OQ magnitude as OQ magnitude. You can use Pythagoras theorem and you can represent that as under root AX whole square plus AY whole square. This gives you magnitude of OQ, right? Now how to represent OQ bar? Vector should be represented as along x-axis how much length it is projecting. It is projecting length AX and it is in which direction? X bar. Along x-axis it is having AX length. Along y direction how much length it is making? It is making AY and this is in which direction? Y. So that is how you will be representing a vector OQ bar in terms of x component and as well as y component. Likewise, you can represent this angle alpha, tan alpha, as opposite side, opposite component divided by adjacent component. So tan alpha can be simply written as tan alpha is equal to, what is opposite component? Ay divided by, what is adjacent component? Ax. So how do you write this alpha? Alpha is equal to tan inverse of Ay divided by Ax. This is the angle made by the vector with respect to x-axis. Now the total representation of vector become very simple when you take coordinate system, because when you are considering any given vector in the coordinate system, that vector will project some length along x-axis and as well as y-axis. Definitely you can find out that projection lengths. It can be 3 unit, 4 unit, 5 unit, any number. From that projections, you can represent vector's magnitude, like OQ is equal to under root ax square plus ay square. And OQ bar can be represented with x component along x direction, y component along y direction, that is the vector. Angle of that vector can be represented with using trigonometric ratio, opposite component by adjacent component, that is alpha is equal to tan inverse of ay divided by ax. This gives you the whole representation of the vector. You will be getting its magnitude, you will be getting its direction, that is alpha angle, and also you can represent it as it is like a vector quantity. This is how you will be representing a vector in Cartesian coordinate system. Now let me take one more example. I'll show you one vector here. This is the vector, and I name this vector as OP. This is origin and this is P. Now when you see this vector, clearly in the Cartesian coordinate system, it is projecting some length along x-axis. It is projecting some length along x-axis. How much length it is? 3 units. Similarly, it is projecting some length along y-axis. How much length it is projecting? 5 units. Right? Now, how do you represent OP bar? OP bar is equal to, along x-axis it is making 3 units. 3, and this is in which direction? X. 3x plus, along y direction how many units? 5. And this is in which direction? Y. So it is 3x cap plus 5y cap gives you the vector OP bar. Right, that is fair. We have got a vector representation. Now how to represent its magnitude? OP magnitude is equal to under root x component whole square, that is 3 square, y component whole square. Using Pythagoras theorem, OP length, this is equal to 3 square plus 5 square, 25 plus 9, 34. So how much is this length? This length is equal to 34 units. This total length is 34. OP magnitude you have got. Now what about the angle made by the vector with x-axis? This angle, I can consider it as alpha. How do you write tan alpha? Tan alpha is equal to opposite vector. Opposite vector, how it is? What is its unit? 5 units. Adjacent it is 3 units. So alpha is equal to tan inverse of 5 divided by 3. Clear? This is how, with that particular Cartesian coordinate system, we can write down the vector number 1. We can find out its magnitude number 2. We can find out its angle number 3. All these 3 can be calculated with only one single vector given in the Cartesian coordinate system. That is the beauty of representation of a vector in Cartesian coordinate system. Now let us see how to represent a vector in 3 dimension. And this is 3-dimension figure. This is 3-dimensional figure. Okay. It has x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, and a vector OP. This is OP vector. It is OP, and that vector is projecting some length along x-axis, y-axis, and as well as z-axis. How much length it is making along x-axis? Px. Along y-axis, py. Along z-axis, it is pz. So these are the points. Px, py, pz are the components, or the points. So P can be represented as Px comma, Py comma, Pz. Okay. Now how do you represent this P bar? P bar is equal to Px, and this is along x-axis, plus Py This is along y-axis. Pz, it is along z-axis. That is how you will represent a vector. Now how to find out its magnitude? P magnitude is equal to under root px square plus py square plus pz square. Okay. Now coming to the angles, it is making different angles with xyz axis. See, first check it up. It is making an angle alpha with y-axis, and it is making an angle beta with z-axis. It is making an angle gamma with x-axis. Okay, so I can write, I can use any of trigonometric ratios, sine, cos, or tan. But generally, the magnitude of P is known to you, px square plus py square plus pz square under root. So what I'll do, I'll simply take cos. Cos alpha is equal to, cos alpha is the angle between y-axis and as well as P. Cos alpha is equal to adjacent side divided by hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is magnitude of P. Okay. Similarly, cos beta is equal to Z divided by magnitude of P. Cos gamma is equal to magnitude of X divided by, X divided by magnitude of P. And these three gives directions with respect to x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. These are called as directional cosines of vector in 3 dimension. These are called as directional cosines of the vector in 3 dimensions. That is how magnitude can be calculated, vector can be represented, its direction can also be found either in 2 dimension or in 3 dimension. Students, I have represented 4 different vectors with 4 different colors in this Cartesian coordinate system in first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant and fourth quadrant. Now I want to represent those vectors. Now let me consider this as a bar, and it is this point, end point, it is 10, 10. And about this one, it is along x-axis, it is making -4 units. And along y-axis, it is making 5 units. Similarly, this end point, along x-axis, it is making -5 length. And along y direction, it is projecting -10 units. Similarly, this end point is projecting length along x-axis as 10 and projection along y-axis it is -5. Okay, A bar. The other one is B bar. This is B bar, and the next one it is a C bar, and next one it is D bar. I want to now represent all these vectors A bar, B bar, C bar and D bar. Now how to represent A bar? I'll represent them easily. See, check it up. A bar is equal to, along x-axis 10, 10x plus 10y. What is its magnitude? A magnitude is equal to under root 10 square plus 10 square. And what about angle? Tan theta is equal to 10 divided by 10, which is equal to 1, that is tan 45. Theta is equal to 45 degrees. Okay, so vector you have represented, its magnitude you have calculated, its direction also been found. That is vector A bar. Now coming to B bar, how do you represent B bar? B bar can be represented as -4x plus 5y. And you can find out magnitude under root -4 whole square plus 5 whole square. And tan theta is equal to y component divided by x component. That is tan theta. Next, coming to C bar. C bar can be represented as -5x minus 10y. And what about its magnitude? C magnitude is equal to under root -5 whole square plus -10 whole square. What about tan theta? Tan theta is equal to y component -10, x component -5. And coming to fourth one, D bar. How do you write D bar? D bar is equal to 10x minus 5y. And what about d magnitude? Under root 10 square plus minus 5 whole square. And what is its direction? Tan theta is equal to opposite y component. Y component, it is minus 5 divided by x component, it is plus 10. That gives you the angle. Like this, you can use Cartesian coordinate system and you can represent any given vector in 2 dimension and as well as 3 dimension.